So like Canada just drew Venezuela, then beat them in penalties to move on to the semifinal of the Copa America 2024. So like, what does that mean? Well, let's talk about it. Hello guys, welcome back to the Africans Do Primarily Canadian African content, because one of the Africans we do both, and we're in tournament season, if it wasn't clear for you. We got the Euros reaching the semifinals, we got Copa America almost the semifinal stage, we got the draw for the African Cup of Nations, it's 25 sets. We'll cover that later this week. But today again, we're looking at the Canadian men's national team, who are on an impressive run in their first ever Copa America, have moved to the semifinals after besting Venezuela in a game 1-1 and then 4-3 in penalties. And as with everything, we always start with the concept of, well, what does it mean? We got to acknowledge the opponent. And it's funny, if you've watched it in this series for the Copa America, you know, every game I've said, I think this team will give them the opportunity to actually play. And then, you know, this team will give them the opportunity. First, I said, I don't think it'll be our team, but maybe Peru will give them an opportunity to play. That was a physical game. And then we got to Chile. We said, maybe Chile will be the team that will give up an opportunity to play. And then, both those last games they played versus a team man down, weren't able to score really. 1 goal in both games. Then came the Venezuela game, which was close. I think on paper most people said, but I think Venezuela showed, and I saw it on the internet, someone says, and I think this is a very fair point, Venezuela is a solid side. They were a lot of people's dark horses to make it far into this tournament, maybe reach the semis, maybe best a top team, but they got suckered into playing Canada style. Canada wanted to play up and down athletic, use their wings, create opportunities, and it worked. And it took Venezuela settling back into the game to really go, but Venezuela is a solid side, quality side. I liked some of the ideas they have. Sultano is a game changer that I've seen. Again, seen him in his time on TFC. But Venezuela was a solid side. They definitely played into Canada's hand. There's no, in my opinion at least, you guys can tell me if that's wrong or not, but they really were a solid side, but they allowed Canada to play the way they wanted to play. That was up and down, playing a high line, let's get behind, versus say playing a low block and saying, we don't think you can break us, which I think most teams should have that approach against Canada, because I'm not sure if they've proven that they can defeat a low block and have yet to do so. That's what happened against Chile. That's why they struggled against Peru as well. Peru set back and was deep. Venezuela was a solid side. I mean, I'm not going to talk about the officiating. I just feel like the officiating in this tournament overall has been bad. If you want to see how I feel, I've probably been in some YouTube video and left a comment, so you guys can find that there. But Venezuela was a solid side. I don't doubt that they are a good seed. Where they are, they're ranked, 4th in the COPA World Cup qualifiers. They are a side that is going to be good, and I'm hoping this is the tournament that they're finally able to reach. I think this cycle, they may be able to finally reach a World Cup. I think they'd be a good side to have, because they do have that veteran leadership, but they also have pace, they have some flair. I think they could be a perfect tournament team where they can get out of their group and play well. Venezuela was a solid side. I think one of the best sides that Canada has faced outside of Argentina, which they will face again. And I think Venezuela, they look at this game, if they maybe sit back deeper, that might be the regret. But overall, I think though they played up and down, they made Canada defend, they made them play, and I love the game. There were things I found frustrating, but I think I love the game that they had overall. That's the one thing. Venezuela, tip of the cap to you. You guys played amazingly. But I think you guys got suckered into playing an up and down game versus sitting back with a team full of athletes. That's the first thing. Second thing I'd say, this is technically officially match day 6. And as I've said, I would wait to comment on this side. I think there's 2 ways you can look at this side. One is, this is the game we finally saw Canada create dozens of quality chances on the wing, transition, some build-up, some quick throw-ins, a little bit off of the set pieces. We saw Canada create opportunity after opportunity after quality chance after quality chance. That is the one side of this coin. The other side of the coin is they have no one right now who can finish. No one. The only person who can finish or who's creating shots on target. That's even the worst thing. They can't even get the ball on frame. Like we've seen Jonathan David miss. Kyle Larry is missing everything in every direction. I'm not sure if the strikers have a side quest. Sometimes it feels, I say jokingly, like it's tough. Finishing is tough, and I think when you play top competition, it's always going to be very vital, right? You've got so many opportunities against Venezuela. You're not going to get those many chances against Argentina, which means we've gone from finishing to please put them on frame. If Canada finishes their chances, the game is done in the first half. The game is truly done in the first half. If they don't, which is what they did, then they left it in balance. I left a post on X and I said, it was a future, because after Venezuela drew the game, I thought to myself, we might blame the refs for costing us the game, but their finishing left the game in the balance. And I think, yes, they got it done in penalties, which is great, showing some great steel in doing so. But against other teams, they have to learn to get that edge. And on the flip side, there's another coin here. You can say they've made the semis of the Copa America with basically 3 players in good form, playing well. That's the negative aspect of it. They're missing chances. The positive aspect is, imagine what this team could look like if they were all in form. That's the optimistic glass half full, glass half empty perspectives. So, with that being the case, I think it's a fair look at one side or the other. I think it's fair either way. I think stylistically, you're starting to see that pattern. You're starting to see, if that's what they're going to do, we're going to do this. Now, I've seen comments on people, like, I am not going to go after the soccer. I'm not going to sit on Twitter and bash. I've already seen the soccer gods go after Canada one time, right? Once US and Mexico were done, Canadian fans got going after those two fan bases, and it felt like immediately the soccer gods were like, what? Humble yourself. Tejan, injured. And I was like, oh, just stop saying things. And now there's a whole, you're seeing the narrative out there where it's just like, yes, fans are going to have fun. The banter is always fun and exciting. I'm not going to deny that. It's funny to watch, but I'm not going to tempt fate. So I'm going to stay in my lane, stay humble there. Canada hasn't been performing well in terms of finishing, but you're starting to see those aspects of it. Now, the problem, I think, it comes into a bit of the Tejan question. What do you do at that right attacking? What do you do really in the outside midfielders? And this is the conversation that is puzzling for me. We finally saw Ali Ahmed, mainly because Tejan got hurt and he was brought in. And to me, I think that's, you have two quality midfielders, Marsh does, on the bench in terms of quality MLS midfielders, Ali Ahmed and Mathieu Choignard. I think both could provide such either calm, but then also give you flexibility in terms of what you want to do. If they would ever reach a point, and I don't think they will, because I think Marsh is going to stick with either Schaffelberg and Larea or Miller and Larea. I think we're watching Liam Miller look good in his first few games, but at some point he has to deliver, and I'll bring up that point at the end here. But the midfielders, I don't know why we haven't seen Ahmed or even seen a taste of Choignard. I think Choignard would be perfect in a 4-4-2 because he could tuck inside and give you that midfield support if you need it. And in doing so, then that allows Jonathan David to play as a striker, not as a 9 who has to come in and balance the team and give them an additional player in the midfield. David dropping down to get touches I don't mind that, but when you're asking him to do that because you continue to play that 4-4-2 or that 4-2-2-2, it does become frustrating. if you played Ali Ahmed there, it gives you the opportunity. He can still give you the pace. He can still give you some dynamic playmaking. But if you would ever go Chouanier and then Ahmed as your outside midfielders, then defensive work, yes, you'd have questions. But on the offense, if you need to battle in, you can always push in. Chouanier can push in as a midfield to give you a trio, and then you can push up Ali Ahmed, and then if that means you have to put a Jonathan David or a Kyle Aaron out wide, and then the other one up top, you have an inverted 3-4-3-3. I'm not sure why we haven't gone there, but yes, I mean, the Tejan question is a big thing. There's a video that I'm waiting to put after COPA America, which is what are Canada's options. I realized after I did it, there's one player that is missing. We'll talk about that when that video comes out. But I think the Tejan question is a very curious one, because how do you want to approach Argentina now? They have a book on you, and that's the other thing. I think the people now will have a book on this team, and they will be able to adjust accordingly. And then it'll be a conversation as to how does Marsh and how does the team react. Shout out to that game, by the way, before we get to like future conversations. Alistair Johnson, solid game. He was my man of the match against Venezuela. Alphonso Davies has been playing well as a left back. I know there have been some criticisms of him, and I saw the comment where, because anytime someone says Davies is playing hero ball, my response is always, you can only play hero ball if you have the ball. He's not taking the ball off people's feet, but they're always passing to him because he's putting himself in positions to try to create something. So you can hate the player for being hero ball, but if no one else is creating, eventually he becomes the hero because no one else wants to try something. So having him in that fullback, and I will continue to say this, I think the depth at fullback for Canada is a lot shakier than we realize. I think there are more not even strikers, wingers that we could rotate through until we find the best one. And I think that's what you have to do. I think for the national team, Davies has to be a fullback, and there's no other questions, because we don't have the depth. I think you're better off trying. You've seen Liam Miller. I don't know if you want to go back to that well afterwards, but you see Liam Miller. Maybe you see if Ahmed or Chouanier can play out there. If those who can't, when Hoylett is healthy, you try a Hoylett out there. If he's not up to it, you still have the players like Theo Corbeanu, a name that we've kind of left out, but I think would be perfect for this side. Truly, I don't know what. I think after this run that they've had in a clear gap in terms of wing production, I don't know. I know this may seem like a far-fetched idea. I don't know why we don't take another run at Luca Koleosho, but that's another conversation for another day. He would be perfect. In front of Davies, he would be perfect. And then since Theo is gone, Tejan is gone, why not get Theo back in the fold if he starts the season off well? And then you have two solid wingers playing at a good level. I think that would be very intriguing to go with. I saw the conversation, someone asked me, going off topic here, someone said, I think Canada's a better unit than the US. Like, guys, relax. We made it further in the tournament. The US has better depth than us. I don't think the gap is as big as some people like, but I think as an overall, I think the US has more quality players. We may have the best player, Canada's, in the region, but the US has more of that next tier, and that's where Canada struggles. There's the Davies tier. Okay, that's fine. Then after that, the David Kone, Eustáquio, Tejan tier. If you look at the US, they have what? McKennie, if you say, okay, Pulisic, I don't think Pulisic is at Davies level in terms of where his ranking as that player. So you move Pulisic down, and now it's Pulisic, McKennie. You want to put in Jedi Robinson into that category? Des when he's healthy. They have more players playing at better levels. The US's issue has always been, I think their coach holds them back. And I'm wondering what they do, if they do anything with their coaching. When it comes to Argentina, I'm excited to see what this game looks like. We have 2 more games left. I would very much love to see them experiment. I want to see Marsh experiment. I know they want to try to go for the win against Argentina because, hey, you're in the semis, you might as well go for it. They are a solid defensive team. If that means Canada has to sit back and defend well, muck up the gaps, and be direct in the counter, that's where Jacob Schaffelberg will be very key. And that's why I think you don't start Larea. Yes, you want Larea for the defensive work, but at this point, if you try to create a transition, Larea is a fullback playing further up. This isn't Davies. Like, if you want to say maybe it's a no-name version of a Davies in terms of branding, he doesn't have the finishing quality. We saw that in terms of decisions that he makes on the counter with the body. I would rather them start an Ali Ahmed there. Do they shake up their forward line? I wish they would. I don't think Marsh will. David and Larin have not been playing well. I've liked what David has done more in terms of working with the ball. If there's a striker I would drop Larin. Will continue to bang the drum for a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. If you want to keep Osorio in the midfield with a Kone and Eustachio, that's fine. But out left and right, I would go Schaffelberg and I would go Ahmed. And keep the back four the same. Maxime Crépeau, I mean, one bad decision and then ultimately turned into an interesting scenario. But I think he's been great this entire tournament as well. He is Canada's one. Dade St. Clair is probably Canada's two. The conversations for who Canada's three is, it's going to come down to if McGill can start to get minutes. Because Sirois, I think, is a solid keeper, but his highs and his lows, unfortunately. Do you take a player who's hasn't broken at a top club or a player who's playing week in, week out? But that's a further roster conversation. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think. I'm excited for the game. We'll see how it is. Tuesday, the evening. We'll go from there. And yeah, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, all the fun things. Tell me if I'm right, tell me if I'm wrong. How do you guys feel about the game moving forward? And yeah, I'll stop talking right now.